Welcome to Lighting Mode, everyone. I'm just pinging the Discord server and disturbing everyone first, so everyone knows we're live. That's done. Welcome to Lighting Mode. Yeah, my name is Amit. I am your host today. For the new people here, if you don't know what Lighting Mode is, it's a community by lighting artists for any artist, anyone who's interested in learning more about lighting in Unreal Engine or Unity, looking for feedback, so you can get some portfolio review if you ask. This is the free version. If you share and you're active, we'll do some community highlights. We have some Unreal tutorials, although a bit slow, and I apologize for that. But leave a positive comment and encourage, and I'm sure they'll come back a bit faster. The Unity tutorials for lighting, they're a bit more ahead of time. So, watch them, see if you like them. We do offer paid mentorship as well. So if you're looking for mentorship, you can just stop by our Discord server and, you can ask for help. A reminder, if you like this video and this interview, this talk, this conversation that we're about to have, just a reminder, there's a tons of other interviews and videos to learn from, breakdowns, knowledge. It's a pool of fast tracking your career, basically. Of course, a reminder, we have a lighting challenge on the 5th of December to the 15th of January. We have a limited spots left for the lighting challenge, so please stop by our Discord channel and sign up there. The Discord, you can find it down at the bottom, all right? And I forgive me ahead of time with the lighting in the background. It's early in the morning, which is the worst time for me to do this because of the lighting that I have in the background. So with that said, please let us welcome Nino, and we'll talk a bit about him, Evil Genius 2, his personal projects, and of course, lighting, as we all are here for that. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you for having me, Amit.
Thank you for coming. It's early in the morning. I'm sure you would rather be sleeping, taking a nap. I don't know, do something else. But you're here, and that's very good. That's very useful for everyone, I think. So, Nino, what you been busy with?
Well, I've been working at Rebellion Film Studios for 2 years, working on game cinematic trailers. So the last one that came out was the Evil Genius 2 one. Other than that, working personal projects on the side when I'm not procrastinating. So
I played Evil Genius 1. I remember a lot when I was a bit younger, because it's a few years back now. I think the first one.
Oh yes.
It was so fun. I haven't tried Evil Genius 2 because you didn't tell me about this. But maybe now I do buy the games of people I interview. So who knows? I'll buy yours too. Just added support. So everyone, buy Evil Genius 2, right? I mean, come on.
Yes. Buy Evil Genius 2. I definitely get money when you buy the game.
Yeah. So does your company have bonuses? No.
Well, the company is split into two sides. So you have the game development side, which make the game, and then they created a new film studio about 2 years ago, which we make live action projects like normal VFX, and then the game trailers for games of the game studio.
Okay. And so you're in the cinematic department, kind of?
Yes, I am in the VFX department where we do the cinematics and whatever else might come our way.
Nice. So how are you liking cinematic lighting? Have you done any? You haven't not done any game lighting yet, have you?
No, I haven't. I did some stuff on the side, like personally, because I wanted to get into it. But yeah, I mean, when I started studying, I wanted to do the cinematics. When you grow up, you see the cinematics for all the Warcraft games and all that stuff, and you look at it in astonishment. You're like, oh, it looks so good, and I always wanted to do that, and being able to do that as a first project was really nice.
Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit, so we get to know you a little bit before we go into the breakdowns and the nitty gritty that I know most people are quite interested in. So for the people, we'll get into some of the breakdowns of his personal project and kind of the Evil Genius 2 in about a few minutes. But let's get to know Nino first, right? So Nino, you started your education somewhere out in nowhere that I know about. I had to look at the map and go,
yes, I think 0.0001% knows Kortrijk and can put it on the map, or even Belgium for the matter.
Tell us about that. Where is this?
So
Is that the closest school?
let me tell you about the story. So I'm from Belgium, and there is a digital art school in Belgium called Digital Arts and Entertainment, which is where I studied. Um, and so they are somewhere up north in Belgium, in a well, quite regularly sized city for the country, which is already like very small. Um, so yeah, there they have a game development course, a game graphics course, visual effects course, an indie game design course, and basically I went for the visual effects one, as since I think 15 years old, I knew I wanted to do visual effects. I wanted to be a
Oh wow.
compositor.
So
Yeah,
why?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, something must have inspired you to do that.
Yes. So when I was a wee lad, I really enjoyed playing in the garden and like with my cousin, like doing our scenarios. I would film it as well and try to cut our own movies in like Movie Maker. It was really rough. That's- it wasn't that good. I still have them on a hard drive somewhere. They were
I,
really
re-
awful.
I
But
remember Movie Maker actually. Actually,
yes.
it's funny you say this because originally when I started, I wanted to be, I believe, I wanted to be a visual effects kind of artist, like for the movies, like with
Mhm.
explosion stuff. But then I studied the game studies, and I went like game design and level design. I don't know what happened. I went like I my aim was actually left, and I for some reason I never went left. I just keep going. Hey, that's interesting. I'll go there. Ooh, lighting artist. Let's try and see how far I get in that spot. Then, ooh, now I'm like lighting, but let's try and make something educational on YouTube. Yeah. So but you're focused now, right? You have more of a focused approach. You're doing lighting artist, you're technical.
Yes.
It says TD, but I call it technical artist lighting normally, because the technical D
Yeah.
in some countries mean technical director, which is quite high up.
Yeah, the terms
um
are a bit all over the place when it comes to game versus film. It's
yeah,
there's a very big discrepancy in there.
that's why we call you technical lighting artist here, so we don't confuse you guys with the type of skills. So what does it
Yes.
mean to be a technical artist, lighting artist? What's the
Um,
difference?
so I started as a lighting artist. So everybody knows, I think, lighting art, you get the scene, you get your lighting red from your lead, match it to the shot and whatnot. But as a technical lighting artist, I make tools as well for the artist to use. So, for example, the first tool I created for within the company for our pipeline was a look dev daily tool. So our lighting and look dev department are very close at Rebellion. So we kind of filling both shoes. So I do look dev and lighting. But it's basically like a turntable tool, like you would see the assets review, with the turntable, the different lighting rigs that shift, close-ups, and all that stuff, and the UV checks. So I made a tool that where you would just be able to plug in your model and press the render, and it did everything for you
So can you
when it
fix my
works.
camera as well? Can you make a tool for my camera as well? It's like it gets dark and then it goes godlike in the background. You can't even see the person hosting the show. It's like, hey, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Sure, we can have a talk after this interview. We'll see what's possible.
So technical lighting artist, obviously, I don't think I could be a technical lighting artist because the time it takes just to understand the coding part is it's too much for me, and I do other stuff like these skills. Just doing what I'm doing here is takes time to learn to make shitty graphic and posting it to get people to come and click stuff. It's like it's time consuming to figure that part out. So I don't have time to become a technical lighting, but it sounds a bit tedious. It sounds difficult. It sounds you do need to have like some kind of understanding in scripting, as far as I
Yes.
understand. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So
yes. But at the school where I went, they were very technical. So even if you do the graphics part, you get the basics of coding and scripting. Even though you do game graphics or you're a character artist, you still get those classes because
hmm.
it's nice to have artists that at least understand a bit of the technical part. So if at one point during their career they're like in front of something, they can be like, "Oh yeah, that is Python. I don't remember how it works, but I know this is Python." Or whatever.
So my usefulness just dropped a little bit there because I can't do that. I'm like, hey, code, nice. Hey, Tekka, go fix
looks,
this.
looks good.
Or just, hey, graphic engineer, hey, I don't know
Yeah,
what's going on.
I'm not talking about that level of coding either, right? Like if I would see that stuff, I would be like, oh yeah, no, 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 no. I'm not getting close to that thing.
That's nice. So there is a difference then. So there's a difference between the technical lighting artist doing the coding and tools and a graphics engineer, basically.
Yes, yes, yes,
Cool.
yes. Because we're talking about scripting and coding, which is, well, I don't think we'll open that can of worms.
No. So if someone were to purposely become a technical lighting artist, right? Because most of
Yes.
our talks are lighting artist specific, but in your case, you're one of the few technical lighting artists we've had. So if you were to say, okay, are you sure you want to be a technical lighting artist? These are the things you have to learn. So what is the advice to give to someone who's looking to become a technical lighting artist?
Well, to become a technical artist, I think you have to come from a mindset where you when you're doing something, oh, it takes too slow. I want to automate it, which is where I came from. It's like, oh, I have to UV unwrap all these assets, for example. It has nothing to do with lighting, but I'm like, I can go tediously one by one and do it manually, or I can try to make something together to like try to automate it so that I have less work to do and the computer does it for me, which is where my mindset came in. And I was like, okay, so I started, I learned the scripting at school. So I had the small basics and then talking with my lead, which is a TD as well. Um, so at that point, if you want to be able to speed up your process and there's like these tedious tasks that you want to speed up and not do manually all the time, then I think like you're getting into the mindset where like TD position could be good for you at that point if you really get interested, because it's most, you can't learn anything if you're not really that interested in it, right? You need to have the passion for it and the interest to be able to sit behind the tutorial and just being able to follow it for 2 hours.
It's definitely easier, isn't it, when you're actually wanting to learn it? But then I've
Yes.
noticed that people are encouraged and they get into this. They're learning it. It's fun. It's nice. But then, did you ever experience a shock? Because a lot of people they experience a shock in terms of studying this, but the speakers are shocked by, okay, I like to play games. It makes sense to make games or learn something about games. They go into it. Maybe they don't study properly. They play a lot of games during studies. And at least I remember some of my classmates, they did that.
Hmm.
And then they get into the industry, which none of them did. And then, sorry, they're my friends. Forgive me. I played with them yesterday, actually. I'm trying to make these talks more casual and normal, so some silly stuff's gonna come out. So yeah, and then they get into the industry, or even when doing the studies, they're like, "This is too much work. This is too stressful." I had actually a private message just before the talk, and it's a talented lighting artist actually, and he probably knows who I'm talking to because if he's watching, he knows it's him. Um, and he tells me that he doesn't want to be a lighting artist. It's too fast paced. It's too stressed. What are your thoughts about that? Like, have you experienced this, or is it nothing?
Yeah. Well, I think if you go to a school that does digital art and like game art and all that stuff, you have, I think, 50% of the people that join these schools that think that, oh yeah, I'm going to be playing games all day long, right? Or and then they start and after 3 months you don't see them anymore because they just left. Because it is hard work, right? If you want to make it, you won't make it by just sitting at your desk and watching tutorials or just listening to how stuff is done. You have to get your hands dirty and actually do it, and it is a lot of effort. So the 3 years of studying were intense, right? But they paid out because now when I'm working and stuff happens, my mind is already prepared for all of it, and I can see how I could possibly fix stuff, or how this problem could be occurring. And in general, it's not an easy job, right? I think because we see movies and all, like for example the Evil Genius trailer, which is, what is it, a minute of of trailer, took like 6 to 7 months to create with a team of 20 people.
Wow.
Games like, what was it, Red Dead Redemption? How many years did that take of crunch? Like 6 years. I mean, it's not obvious, but like this industry is hard, right? It is a lot of fun and a lot and very rewarding if you're passionate about it and if you like it. So I mean, I'm happy when I wake up in the morning and I go to work, right? Because I'm doing something that I like doing. But it is work, right?
So
It's not
did
just
so
playing.
did you do the World Domination release date trailer, or because there's quite a few
There's two. Yes,
trailers?
yes, yes. So there's the announcement cinematic trailer, which was done by Real Time UK,
Okay.
which because we didn't exist yet because we're a very new company, right?
It didn't exist yet.
We
Boom!
came
We
out
were
like
just
2 years ago. We
summoned.
just spawned. um, and so no, we did the release trailer. Yeah, the release cinematic trailer. I think there's even a director's cut of it because the trailer
Is it
wasn't
the
too long.
one that starts like with the boat,
It's the one that starts with the island.
the island, and the
I think it
boat?
both start with islands.
Oh yeah, okay, that doesn't
It's the
help
one
me.
that starts with the island going in like this and then going like this.
I wanted to download it and then show it on the screen, but I guess we can show it afterwards. So I have a question for you. So we
Yes.
will make this fluid and fun for people. You know, we just go back left and right. Why not? I do have a structure for my interviews, but I never follow them anymore. Anymore. So I apologize. So the question is, as a technical artist, I wanted to know your opinion on technologies such as Lumen and generally the use of real-time tech in films. That's a
Yes.
difficult one.
Well, the thing with Lumen right now, like on paper and what people have been doing, it looks very good, right? Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to use Unreal 5 in production. So when we have been using Unreal in production right now, we've been stuck with Unreal 4.26 and 27, depending on when we did it. But the real time in films, like there was one shot in EG2 that was done in Unreal because we wanted to test it out, right? So we had most of the shots rendered in Redshift using Solaris, and then one shot that we used in Unreal. And to be honest, the fact that you're able to iterate so fast and not wait like a fortnight before having the renders out um, is really nice. There is problems, right? You can't use the ray tracing that well because it's noisy. The reflections, like if your roughness is above zero point 0.2, um, then the reflections are noisy. You have to clean it up in comp, GI, same thing. You have a lot of cleanup to do after the facts, but the fact that you can iterate and get pretty good looking results straight away is really nice. And I think like probably like well definitely it's going to go up and Unreal 5 will be used a lot in production, maybe not for final pixel, but when it comes to previs it will be used a lot because directors will be able to see their results of how it would look like by the end of the movie instead of the usual previous stuff you have like the Maya playbase and all that stuff. But it's definitely going to get there at some point.
Cool.
If
For
that answered the
people,
question.
yeah, I think he did. If not, he'll let us know, and then we'll just tell him sorry.
Try again.
Try again, rephrase it, make it easier. People watching on LinkedIn, you can ask your question by adding in a comment. People watching on Twitter, I don't get them questions on my system here, so you have to type it on the tweet, like the reply tweet, and I'm manually looking for any question that pops up there. So just so you guys know that. So technical lighting artist sounds like a very fun job. You have obviously a vast amount of different skills, also making me feel inferior. But it's good. So what don't we first do a little bit of breakdown on your personal projects before we go over to the Evil Genius stuff?
Sure.
It answers the question. He says thank you with a smiley, and it answers the question.
Cool. I'm glad.
You're welcome, Turkey. I hope you like turkey, or you are very good at making turkeys, Mr. Turkey Master. So let's click on the share screen for on your side, and let's have a look.
Yes. Share screen. Ba-da-ba-dum. All right. So coming to the project, I guess I'll talk about the latest project I put on my ArtStation, which was I tried to do well on my personal time. I tried to work on Unreal. Um,
Since you mentioned
because
ArtStation, do you want to show your
yes,
ArtStation
yes,
page so
yes,
people
exactly.
know how
I'm
to?
opening the page.
There we go. See, he's
Um,
already ready to market himself.
Sorry. Um, so I did this project, which is it just I had to pull the plug. It took way too long. I think I started it back in November 2019 when I just started working. Um, but yeah, I really dislike modeling, so I tried to do my best when it came to just setting up a scene real quickly because I wanted to work on my baking skills. I don't think baking is going to die, right?
No, I don't
Like
think
even with all the real
so.
time stuff, I don't think baking will die at some point. I mean,
No, I mean
that's
it's still superior, right, in quality. But it's also you have to keep
yeah.
in mind in optimization and at least in games point of view, it's it still runs better when you manage to bake stuff. And the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
real reason for real time, like from a technical point of view, I think, without getting shot by saying it, is really if something is moving, you want the shadows and you want the reflection. I mean that's really
Mhm.
the only reason I would want real time at the moment in the projects I'm working on is that it's not real reflection when the car drives and when the characters moves, you have to cheat.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I think baked will hopefully bake will also improve in the process as we're doing ray tracing, or everyone is just developing putting all the money in ray tracing and I know I just forgotten bake technology altogether, but hopefully not.
It's the long forgotten child. Nobody looked back at.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, this project was done like on the weekends, up and down, like over the span of 2 years. Because
Oh wow.
I took like a long break of like a year and a half. Um, as you know, I don't know if a lot of people have that as well. But once when you're working, sometimes finding time to do personal projects on the side is hard as well, right? Because you're
It
doing
is.
one of the job.
Did you do the scene dressing yourself?
Yes, so that's why it's so bad.
That's why I stopped out as well. I also stop a lot because of it, so don't feel bad about that.
Yeah, exactly. You're not enjoying yourself, right? I mean, I'm enjoying myself only at the end of the project when I start doing my lighting and start like placing, like rotating stuff around. But like the fact of that's what took the most time was being able to set up the environment itself. And then if you look at it, it's like it's meh, you know. could have done could have done better in probably like a week time if I actually put my time to it. But so yeah, for this one, I had the concept art. Um, of The Last of Us. Oh, I don't think I have it in here. Well, there you go. Preparation, great. Um, but yeah, you have in the first The Last of Us game, you have this ranch that looks all destroyed, and I mean, I'm a big fan of the Naughty Dog look. And I think like that's probably like one reason that I want to go into games later. You know, how the way they tell the story through the lights, through the environment, for me is just astonishing. So I try to do something on my own in Unreal. But yeah, you know, you have these moments in the project where you're like, oh yeah, this project is definitely never going to end, and it looks awful. You know, at the beginning of a project where you're like, this is not going to go anywhere. And then you know, work on it. At that point, Megascant was free as well. You know,
Mm.
remember that when Bridge came for free, and then I was like, oh, decals, hell yeah. And so that piqued my interest back into the project for like 3 days. I just
That's
started putting random decals everywhere, and then I stopped working on it for a year. Came back to it.
it's like when you play a game and you stop playing and they come up with an interesting DLC
Yeah,
or
exactly.
patch and oh I play it a little bit and then
Oh,
oh, you
look at
lost
that.
interest.
New
Uh,
toys available.
that's what happening with me on Planetside too because they came up with a cool update. I'm like okay I'll go back and play.
But yeah, I mean, when it comes to that, I had my reference board, um, which had basically all the sunset pictures. Try to find like how it comes inside. But I mean, like just not only reference board, but I mean, we all live. Um, like you know, when you're in a house, and I try to like when it came to sunset time, I would just open my windows, turn all the lights off, right? And see how the sunlight would just come inside the room, and from a dark room, just like one small window would just light up the entire place up, right? So the fact is, you don't always have to go to internet and look up reference and spend time on that. You know, yeah, if it's something that you want to do that's natural lighting, try some stuff at home, right? So I would close the windows, some windows, and just leave one window open. See how the light came in, how it bounced off all the walls. Um, which by default, if in Unreal, in my case, when I just had my sunlight put in, I didn't have that much bounce, so I had to start faking it, adding area lights to push some light back into corners because it just wouldn't do it by default. Um, by the way, my Unreal level is pretty junior, right? As I don't, I'm not a game artist, so I don't know all the ins and outs of the engine. But from my, I approach the problem as a VFX artist. So I did a lot of faking. I did a lot of like adding bounces everywhere. Probably you do the same in game. I just took it from the way I do it in offline. So in this case, trying to push more light inside. I had ugly vegetation everywhere. All those atlases, like here is like so dark, it didn't make any sense.
Man,
Um,
I would spend 2 years as well. I mean, I'm trying to do something now with like caves and dwarf and based on Moria and Lord of the Rings and stuff. I'm not even modeling anything. I'm just placing stuff. I'm like, I used to do it a lot before I became a lighting artist. That's all I did. I did it for fun. I placed
yeah,
level design, creative stuff. But now it's like I want to focus on lighting, and then when you have to do this as well, it's like I should have been
yes.
done like just in a day, to be honest. But no, I think after
It's
two
draining.
years, I'll let you
And
know.
there's there's not only that, right? But there's the fact of, if in my case I don't like modeling, good, but people, thank God that there's people that really like modeling. But like I'm always trying to, like, for example, this door, I could have modeled it in probably like, I don't know, like half an hour to an hour. Instead, I'm going through Turbo Squid and finding free models of everything I need instead of modeling it myself because I'm too lazy. Um, but yeah, it's a personal project, so I can be lazy. It's fine.
Nah, I don't think you should. You should just work hard, man. You should
Well,
you should redo it all, and you should do it in 1 year.
oh, if that's another thing, right? Coming back to your work when you started, because I started this before working. So when I opened it up, I was like, oh my God, I need to start everything from scratch. It's been done super bad. Like the method of, and so you have 2 years of progression where at the start and after 5 months, then you're a different person. You work differently, because you've worked on production, how stuff can be optimized. And I just had to stop it because at some point, otherwise I would have restarted everything from scratch and I would have added another 2 years.
So you
But
went from shit to not shit, basically.
yes, yes,
Okay,
exactly.
I
That's it.
understand. So you have another question from Turkey, and let's see if you can try and answer it or not. What do you think you should showcase in your portfolio as a technical lighting artist?
um, so for me, I started as a lighting artist and I made my way to technical lighting artist once I was on the job, right? So I have because I'm so it's a bit different from me in my case. But in the case where you want to become a technical lighting artist, you should showcase, like any technical artist should do, showcase your tools on your portfolio, right? If you make an HDA in Houdini that can, I don't know, build rivers, you know, like a technical artist will put that on their portfolio. "Oh, look, like automatic river tool." But if you make tools, like when you work lighting in Unreal, and you always come across your problems, if you make a script that would automate that problem so it doesn't become tedious anymore, you can showcase that um, in onto your portfolio. So you want to be writing tools, because when you're hired as a technical artist, people need to see what type of tools you have, and certainly the way you think, because that's the most important thing, because you have a problem and they need to understand the way you think and the way you're going to solve that problem. Making a script, optimizing your workflow, right? Having your own, I'm going very deep, but like having your own asset tracking system locally on your machine, like if you want to go really into like pipeline technical. um, but yeah, the most important way is being able to show the way you think to the recruiter. In that case, showing off your tools, the way they work, the way you make the UI so it's friendly enough for artists to use, the way you document your code as well. um, So yeah, because you're not going to be working alone, right? You're going to be working with other people that have to understand what you do. If you're off or sick on a day and they have to fix something, they need to be able to understand whatever you made. So that's a very important part of it, like
Yeah.
showcasing on your portfolio the way you think and explaining into the description your entire thought process.
So basically, show that you're able to solve a problem, basically, whatever that might be. So that's basically what you should show. That could be anything, I guess, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's could be maybe a predefined lighting setup, so you don't have to set up the lights every time. 3-point lighting, for example, so someone can just drag it out and it's default and they can rotate it. We have that. We used to have that on Ubisoft. There, someone made a tool and it just had 3-point lighting, and we only fixed something if it was buggy or something didn't look right. Otherwise, look, I'm becoming a god. So yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
or batch material fixing as well. Like if you have roughness values that are over more multiple assets that are wrong, if you need to edit them like in a batch, having something that's friendly that you can do it like this or whatever. List goes on and on.
So good. Can you rephrase the question? I don't know. Which render engine can you use? I guess it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, I guess which one we use at work. Well, right now we're using Redshift. If I don't know if that answers the questions. So we use Redshift, but we're working with USD and Solaris and Houdini. So yeah, if that didn't answer it, rephrase the question.
It depends. So he works in tools that are pre-rendering pipeline, I believe, if I remember correctly. Which are those tools? And then if you want to work on real-time technology, you would have to use engines such as Unreal, Unity, CryEngine, Lumberyard. I don't know. There's quite a few actually, and there are specialized engines out there as well for oil industry, which is one way of learning. Actually, there's one way of getting into industry is picking the engine
Oil
that no one
industry.
else uses. Yeah, oil industry, simulation industry,
Oh yeah,
training.
yeah.
You know, they all have their own engine that they use. Like Uni engine is like a very powerful engine as well. So if you master that, you at least kind of quickly get the job in the aircraft industry, the
Oh
shipping
wow.
industry and stuff like that. And I picked that up a little bit and tested it, and I have a private talk with other people about like the idea of engines and stuff, and what happens if you learn that. I think it's a good idea. That's at least how I've done it, is pick up something that no one else cares about, but there's like interest in terms of the people who want to use it and have to use it, and then be the expert in that. Definitely help. So another question from Turkey, the Master Turkey. How popular are render software such as V-Ray or Octane in Unreal Engine? Are they used in the industry? Do you know, or do you
The
want to answer?
the implementation of like the V-Ray and Octane plugins in Unreal. Um, I wouldn't know, to be honest, because what I know is that most of the time when Unreal is being used in the film industry, um, it's being used as a tool for previs and the virtual production, for example. Um, but the V-Ray and Octane, I've never seen it being used personally, but at the same time, small
So
world.
it's difficult to answer the question because of the word popular.
Yeah.
I would say yes, it is used one way or another, especially
Hmm.
V-Ray. But I cannot say like out of the blue, yes, it's popular. I wouldn't say it's popular because I'm not using it, and a lot of other people are not using it. So clearly, it's not popular. Oh, he jumped out in the middle of the live interview. So I would say it's not necessarily popular. And welcome back.
I pushed the button. I'm sorry.
I did it too in live interview because I use the browser as well, right? Then I close
Yes.
stuff. I'm looking at stuff as we're talking and looking at the specific things, and then I closed, and I'm the host. So like, oh shit,
So everything was shut off.
where'd the host go? So yeah, no, the word popular, I'm not really a fan of the word popular, but it is being used. If that helps answer how it's being used and how much, is very difficult to answer. It's different industries that use it obviously as well. I know someone who use it. Normally, you can know someone is using it because if someone takes a screenshot of their engine and they're asking for help, there's a specific it says V-Ray on the top if they have it
I see.
installed and it's in, if it's set up correctly. It's not default from what I know. As you probably tell, I don't use V-Ray or Octane.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it definitely is somehow being used, and we also
Yes.
do use the workflow. I know people are bringing V-Ray Lite from the pre-rendering
Mm,
into Unity, but that also requires a specific workflow to get it in as well. So there's a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
workflow around it, but yeah, hopefully that answers your questions. But again, I want to emphasize people that there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of technology. I wouldn't spend too much time mastering all of this, right? I would just pick the tool, pick the method that encourages you and motivates you, because otherwise as Nino and I have talked about, you might spend 2 years finishing something because it's too tedious. So that's very
Yeah.
important.
No,
I
for
mean,
sure.
Nino mentioned it when he was studying as well, and he was telling this short story. It's quite important to be motivated to want to learn it, because if you learn it because of money or because I tell you or Nino tells you, I can assure you, you're probably gonna have a much harder time. I'm not saying you won't be able to do it, but you're gonna have a much harder time to really enjoy and master it. At least I
Mm.
learned that way. I don't know ZBrush for shit, but I know 3D code for shit because I prefer 3D code over a
Yeah.
ZBrush. So whenever I do any sculpting that I don't share publicly, I'm just doing it for fun. I just think it's peaceful and it's enjoyable because 3D code
Mhm.
is such an intuitive tool. No, I'm not sponsored by 3D code, but I should ask them. um, is definitely much better than ZBrush. I think that the challenge people have is because it's an industry standard, people learn it because obviously the assumption is that's what's going to get you a job. But the
Yes.
real thing is what's going to get you a job is the ability to do very well in any tool you choose, and the ability to learn the other tools that you have to learn once you join a company, right?
Yes.
um, I think that's very important to understand for people trying to get into the industry or already in this industry that want to change their roles, right? I wasn't always a lighting artist. I was a producer. I was a game designer. I've been a level designer. I've done all different kind of roles on a very indie stage and small scale, and it's very important, I think, to want to learn something. Otherwise, why are you doing it? What's
No,
your
for sure.
why? So yeah, it's definitely good questions. Keep them coming. I appreciate them, of course. So Nino,
Yes.
do you wanna? Should we share the screen again and look at your amazing Evil Genius 2
Sure.
stuff and do some indirect marketing for Evil Genius 2?
Let's do that. Yes. EG2. So this project was the first project actually that we. Oh, I have the trailer here actually. I don't know if the playback will be. Oh, the playback is amazing. Look at that. So that's the
Playback.
trailer. Um, so basically, we did. This was our first cinematic that came out. So we didn't have a pipeline. So we created the pipeline, everything to be able to create this, right? So as a new studio, you have to create everything from scratch, right? So this shot, by the way, is an Unreal Engine, and so we had to match the quality to be able to like look okay when put next to the other renders which were done offline. Um,
So wait, what was done offline?
so this shot is offline.
Offline.
So this is
Cheater.
all rendered in Redshift.
Redshift.
This shot is Unreal Engine
Okay.
4.26, I think.
All of it.
Yes, all of it. This entire
So
shot.
so do you know why? How come you did both? Like why
Yes.
did you
Well,
guys combine it like this?
as a company as well, right? Being able to, as a new company, being able to promote yourself and say that certainly Unreal Engine is really stepping up their game when it comes to the film industry. Being able to show that you know how to use Unreal and you do the projects using Unreal, comparing it to offline renders is really good. Like
Oh, it
in
was a
terms of
business reason for this.
it's business, but at the same time it's a challenge, right? You want to challenge yourself. You want to be like, okay, we have these tools that are available to us. Um, the Quixel Rebirth short just came out before. It looked amazing. like we were like, oh my god, like how did they do this in Unreal Engine? Oh, we can do it as well, right? And so we're like, we take on the challenge. Of course, the challenge wasn't as easy as we thought it would be. We're thinking, oh, real time, everything renders super nice.
Super
No,
easy.
it wasn't like that. So that's a big thing. Like Unreal is really good when it comes to their marketing, saying
Yeah,
yes
yeah.
for film, it works amazingly. You just have to plug and play. It's
No, it
um,
takes skills, obviously.
oh yeah, for sure. Certainly when you don't have the game artists, but like I think I learned Unreal on myself on my own. We had one artist, one colleague of mine, Fred, and he was a game artist before coming here, so he had Unreal knowledge as well. But so we had to like document yourself, right? We were talking with Epic. We were like, okay, so how does this work? How can we render this? We have noise everywhere. This looks shit. What can we do? Um, but yeah, so working and making our way through, we were able to get the results that we wanted. So this is all Redshift. The rest of the trailer is basically all Redshift. So this is all offline rendered.
Okay, so what's your favorite shot?
My favorite shot is the island one because we started this project in the winter, and the UK is really cold in the winter. And being able to to teleport myself to a beach during work hours was
Yeah,
amazing.
you had a beach umbrella in your office or
Yeah,
in your room,
exactly.
and some, I don't know, mojitos or whatever, and your
Yeah,
feet up were
definitely.
up, and you were working in imaginary. Okay, that's nice.
That was exactly it. At the same time, like on this shot, for example, I was responsible for the lighting, but like I told you before, lighting and look depth is very close at Rebellion. So I did the look depth for the ocean and for the rocks and the sand and everything, and the vegetation as well, some of it. So certainly you just come out from school. Like I told you, like when we started Rebellion, what were we, like 6 artists total?
Hmm.
Then we started growing to when we arrived to that project, we grew to 16 people. At the same time, I was the only lighting artist. We had our senior look dev artist, which did lighting as well. Um, but there was a lot of pressure on my shoulder. But like being able to be a student, so that's another thing, right? Is when you're a student, you always look up to, oh look, MPC, I don't know, Ubisoft, the EA, all these beautiful things. But like I don't think if I would have joined MPC or whatever, I would have been able to do the lighting for a
Hmm.
key shot, the opening shot, for example, and have
True.
all this responsibility put on me, and being able to have this, how do you call it, um being able to just like say, oh look, this is my work, right? We worked on it, all of it, like it's a team effort, right? We did the lighting, and we didn't have any concept art as well. So like the director would come at us and be like, every character has their own color scheme. We have to implement that into the lighting. And then we had,
Sorry.
no, no worries. And then we have ref boards with like pictures and be like, okay, this is the mood of the scene. This is the color of the scene. Make something like do the lighting.
Is that the reference on top one was, which one is this?
So basically, this was. It's not the actual reference. It's like what because I couldn't take the reference pictures because I was too late in asking.
Is that a Batman reference or something?
Yes, this is like the Batman cave. So basically, they wanted like an industrial look for the Zalika shot, which is this
That's
one.
It's funny that you used the Batman reference because that's the reference I used on Ghost Recon, Ghost Breakpoint, one of the Splinter Cell level. That was the reference we used. Just the Batcave.
Well, yeah, but it looks good, right? You have this, and they show you this picture, but it's not like, oh yeah, remake the Batcave. But you have to decorticate the picture. You have to be like, okay, what makes this cave this cave, right? It's the very diffuse top lighting, right? You have this one direction that comes from the top, and that's it, right? And then the color scheme as well. It's all concrete, so it all feels very cold. So this was the reference that we had for this. So when we started, I put the ceiling to concrete because I was like, oh, do you want it to be concrete? It was like, no, 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 no. It has to be like a dentist office, but it has to, we need to have this cold top light feeling. So then, we iterated, we built up the environment to be bigger. We added those crevices with the lights inside. um, and and by slowly molding it together, we were able to get every shot and give the identity to every shot as well, right? This was work of the department, working with the look diff department, working with the lighting department, all together, piecing the puzzle together to try to be able to make the identity for each shot. um so for this one as well, right? Like his key color is red. Okay, his costume is red. So the lighting, we shouldn't make it red because red on red. So we just make it very, very warm. He's like in a conference speaking, so you have those spotlights coming up, very, very bright, very, you can feel the heat almost touching your skin. So, you know, making it like that, looking up reference, seeing how it works, and just
Cool.
slowly building up.
So, which one of these was the hardest to do,
Um,
and why?
so the
While you think
island
about it, I'll come back tomorrow. Okay.
yeah, that's a good question. The Ivan shot, we came out, we had the overall. I made like 3 different lighting rigs with like lighting, like a key light coming from. Oh, let me draw. Like I had a
This
key light coming from this side, brightening up his entire thing. I had a light over here that had like the Rembrandt. I did all these different rigs. I think I had like 4 versions. We showed them all to the director, and the director was like, "Oh, I like this one." And we're like, "Okay, cool." And that was the easiest shot we had to do. Like it was very easy. Zalika one, the environment shifted. So, but like once again, this environment is very simple, and you can't really go. You can't overwork, because something I found out myself is a shot gets hard when you put too much thought into it and you do the work but like too much, if that makes sense. When you overthink it, that's when it gets hard, because you have to work your way back, because there's always a problem. So but when you start simple, don't add 17,000 lights. You add 3 lights maximum. That's like my leads told me that, and it's a great tip that he told me all the time. It's like, always start simple, right? You don't want to start, oh yeah, the light in the background that shines into the corridor, the light on the roof that gives the little glow. But start simple. You have your subject, start simple and make your way further. But like on
get the most out of the few lights first.
exactly, yeah. You want to keep it simple. Like this shot as well, it's a sunset. We had some difficulties coming with the temperature of it all, but like after a while it got correct. But I think the hardest shot of them all was this one over here, because we had problems with the identity, because the client wanted the blue light of her identity, but then the environment contradicts the blue, right? Because you're like, okay, we're trying to make it in, right? Where would that blue light come from? It doesn't fit. Everything looks so rustique, like, but like if you have this blue sci-fi light coming in, that wouldn't. So we iterated for like months, and we just didn't get to it. And in the end, we just scrapped it. So we had talks with the director, and we just did it in the freeze frame.
Hmm.
But I think this shot took the most time, because we have the like, it's very saturated on its own. So but we added very saturated lights as well, which made it too vibrant. And that's when we knew, and we backtracked, and we went more neutral colors on the lighting, because the environment already has so much.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging to do the one with the general and this one because of the quite saturated red color, So
Yeah.
it makes sense. You put in a warm light, it gets too much. You put in a cool light, it doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah, it looks, everything looks purple then all of a sudden, because the color theory, right? So it looks like, oh, like, but so yeah, we had to work our way through it, certainly, because the client says, oh yeah, we have the blue. Well, we need the blue. Where's the blue? So we're like,
Change your clothes, make her blue.
It doesn't work.
Make her blue.
It looks awful with the blue.
No, it's definitely hard ones because of all the colors. I mean, it's definitely. I don't think people understand the difficulty of. Well, I'm sure some people understand, obviously, but a lot of people I don't underestimate, especially new people, underestimate the work that goes into lighting scenes that are super colorful, like Evil Genius 2 and a lot of
Yeah.
animation and this guy, because you can't just randomly use all the different colors anymore, because you do have to consider the color mixing that happens,
Yeah.
right? And because if you have worked on like a lot of the Ubisoft games or a lot of the even Naughty Dog's games and stuff, it's not easier because the other challenges, obviously, because there's a higher level of details, and you have to consider all the playability and frame rate, so there are other things you have to worry about. But
Mhm.
in terms of color, also, you wouldn't use all these colors in those type of games. Wouldn't make sense to begin with. But you don't have the challenges, and I see a lot of people when they're doing lighting and asking for reviews or feedback, or even in our game as well, there's some colors, and then when I get like a room that's very brown because of the wood, it gets automatically harder to do it, because then you have a cabin in my case, and then you have, okay, this cabin is super brown,
Yeah.
and then you have, okay, so you have fire light, which is pretty, warm, and then mixing together it gets even like it does you it takes away a bit of the contrast. It gets a bit flat because of the
Yeah.
color and the mixing, and it's definitely interesting to see you talk about it and kind of highlight these issues a bit, because I don't think anyone has highlighted it even a little bit in terms of the challenges of lighting when you have different color and materials. It's forgotten
Mhm.
quite easily. So, what would you say is the biggest skills, maybe three skills that a lighting artist should have coming into the industry?
One would definitely be understanding color, because that's very important. I think because of the what we just talked about. Um, so it's very important to understand how color works. Um, the other one would be, well, if you understand how color works, I would say understanding how lighting works as well. Specular, um, reflection, diffuse, um, bounce, global illumination, all those theories, right? Once you know them, they make your life easier. That's a big point. Like I read a book before starting to work, which was like lighting fundamentals, and I read the book. And as a beginner, like if you're already in the industry for a bit and you're already a lighting artist for a bit, you read the book and you're like, oh, this is all basic stuff, but it's all stuff that you wouldn't have thought about if you're just a beginner right now. So that book really opened stuff to me, right? Um, so that's two, right? It's the color, how color works, how lighting works, and then the third one um, would be that don't put boundaries in your don't make yourself fake walls in your head on how you should work. A lot of stuff that you see, 99% of it is faked.
Ah,
So I think,
cheater. He's such a cheat. Just
yeah,
cheating all the
I
time.
mean, yeah, just like don't feel bad if you cheat stuff, right? If you're like, oh yeah, there's like, I don't know, like, oh yeah, the light would never bounce here, but it looks so much better if it does bounce here. Cheat, add this bounce, add this blocker over here, add this fake shadow. Don't, like, be creative. That's like the third one, I think.
Cool.
Be like, the moment
And
you remove those boundaries.
yeah, I think it's important to do that, to kind of take the risk, as long as you understand. Again, you have to understand everything you just said.
Yeah,
You learn it individually, but then it comes down to putting them together and then taking it to another level, and then
yeah, yeah,
understanding the cohesiveness of everything you're doing, so it doesn't, so you don't look at it, huh, that bounce line looks a lot brighter than the actual light source coming
yeah,
from the
yeah, yeah.
window. Simple stuff like that.
No, for sure. So that's why you need to understand it to be able to break it afterwards.
Yeah. So it's a combination of things, definitely. I think is very important. So even though it's basic, I guess it doesn't become basic, because you then have to put them together as a
Mhm.
puzzle to make sense for yourself, because sometimes it doesn't make sense even though you're
Yeah, yeah.
learning the basic. You're like, what the hell does that mean? Um, so how about communication though? And do you think communication and soft skills is important in the game industry, despite us just sitting alone in front of the computer and
Yeah,
working,
yeah.
or what do you think? What's the truth behind
S-
this?
So I didn't put it in the tips to become a lighting artist because I think communication is a skill you should have in. It's something that's way broader than just lighting in general. It's to the industry on its own. You should, like, being able to talk is very important, and being able to formulate, being able to say, to say what you think in a good way, right? So you need to be able to put those words together in a sentence that would make sense to other people, and that that don't contradict. Um, but right there, like for example, how I am doing is a bad way of doing it, because my English sometimes I just struggle over words.
No, no,
But
man. Your English is great, man. Don't worry.
the communication is very important. Being able to talk with different departments. If you have a problem, you have to say it out. Don't wait there until it gets too late, and there's no more time to fix the problem. So always talk with I don't know if you have, I mean, from in my case, we have a lead of every department. I don't know how it usually works. You have the art director in games, right? But you have your head of department as well, I guess. um,
Well, we have a lead. It depends for a lighting artist in games. It's a bit, it can be a bit complicated in my experience anyway. You have like, depending on the studio, you get like on you might be assigned to lead 3D artist. You might get assigned to then who is then assigned the art director. If it's a smaller company, you can talk to both directly, especially the
yeah,
art
yeah.
director. In my case, my art director, I talk to as much as I can, and he does paint overs. So after I've done the work, he just takes the screenshot of my work, and then he paints it a bit more. Says, "Oh, I want like this color, and this should be brighter." I'm like, "Okay,
Oh,
sure."
nice.
Yeah, my life is chill, man. This is the most stress-free lighting job I've ever done. It's like, hey,
Yeah, that's
take a look.
yeah. That's when the director or the art director really can express what they want. Makes our
Yeah,
lives way
but he
easier.
loves it though. He'll find any excuse to do paint overs. I'm like, yeah, of course he's very busy, so it's a rare occasion. But when he does it, it's really, I can do like big scenes like rooms. Like if he does a paint over, it takes me 1 hour probably, and I'm done. Like it's perfect. It's checked in. We move on. If he does a paint over, otherwise it takes time. I have to look at references and go back and
That's
forth
good.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's really good. Some people would take that as like, oh, my work is bad. It has to be, or whatever. But in the end, at the end of the day, you have to think about it. This is a group effort, right?
Yeah,
You're not.
exactly.
Yeah, it's not. You shouldn't take it personally when it comes to that stuff. I mean, we're helping each other out. It's like from experience, I know some people that are like, if when they get feedback or whatever, they would get really really personal about it as well. But we're all just trying to help each other.
Yeah, I think because you have to remember it's a collaborative effort, right?
Yeah,
Very often I try my best to credit everyone else because I know I wouldn't be able to do most of my work if it wasn't for something someone else did properly. If they did
yeah,
a shit job in their job, I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to do my job.
yeah.
So I think it's true what you're saying, collaborative, taking the feedback. So what do you think about taking feedback then? Like there are a lot of people, as you say, react on it. They can't handle it. What are your thoughts about that topic?
Yeah, well, I think that's just personal, right? So, and I think, well, I don't have I don't take, when I get feedback, I don't take it personally. So I can't put myself in other people's heads on how they think. But I think, in general, it should be just be a way of, you take the feedback, you process it, right? And then you don't just listen to the feedback, right? You take the feedback, and then you check, and you double check against your work, right? And you find, because I mean, we're doing art, right? Art is subjective. um that's just how it is. But
No, it's exactly the way I like it.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like, sometimes, like, I have a light. For example, the example I gave you with the Ivans, the four lighting setups I made. My favorite one was with the Rembrandt triangle under his right eye. That was my favorite one, right? But don't get too attached to one thing, because you have to iterate all the time, and that's just the nature of the work,
Hmm.
right? I give those four. I was hoping deep inside me, I was like, oh yeah, please, director, choose the one I prefer. But I shouldn't have done that, right? Because that's not how it works. It's not, we're making this project for those people, right? We are applying our vision to it. We're helping creating it. But at the same time, you always need somebody to make the decision.
I
So
have started giving. I normally just give one because I don't want them to pick something else, and then. But of course, if they don't like it, I'm like then we go through it. And sometimes when I do have clients or I'm doing something, I give two versions, but there's only like super minor changes. And then they pick the same one, and I give them another version that's completely different, and then they pick the same one. So I knew mine was the correct one. So that sometimes when people pick something, they don't actually know what they're picking. So
no,
you have to, as a lighting artist, you need to trust yourself as well in understanding that yeah, they're saying this, but is it really what they're saying?
no, I know,
Yeah,
but at that point, it's like if you have your lead, you have a discussion with your lead, but always be, it's a casual conversation, right? So don't be like, oh, it's my favorite one,
yeah, you
you
have to
shouldn't do
kill
that
the baby.
decision. Yeah, exactly. Be chill. You like
Not literally, guys. Sorry. I do not encourage.
this interview is going to get taken down by YouTube
Probably, yeah,
the
because they have
moment it
voice.
goes up.
The voice algorithm is gonna go like, shit, 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 kill baby.
Yeah,
uh,
you prove your arguments. You put your arguments out there. At least if it can relieve you. Like, oh, my voice has been heard, because that's the most of the time. That's it, right? Is you want to be heard out there. You just start. You're so excited about everything. So,
so
but that's
people should ask for feedback then.
yeah, definitely. I mean,
They
if
should not take it personally. Basically,
yes,
is kind
yeah,
of the
yeah,
key
yeah.
point. Okay. So
Yeah.
ask for feedback. Don't cry over it because they're not critiquing you personally. They're just critiquing your work, right?
But it's not
Um,
they're critiquing. They're giving their vision of it. That's that's
and
that's what it is. They're giving their vision because they think in a different way. So you just like when you look at something for 3 days straight, your
exactly.
vision gets blurred.
Color
You need to
blindness, I
get
called
different
it. Lighting blindness, I call that.
lighting blindness.
Yeah, it's like yeah, because I know exactly when you said it. I was like, yeah, you sit and work, and then you can't even see what's wrong anymore because you've
No,
been looking at it all day, every day, and then you need someone else to look at it.
exactly. And most of the time, I must be honest, is most of the time I was able to like, not reinvent the stuff, but like I've been able to like add something that pushes extra is when I went to my colleague that sits next to me and I'm like, oh, look at this. What's wrong with it? There's something that's not, or like when my lead gives me a comment, I'm like, oh my God, when did I think about it earlier? This is a genius idea. And and being able to like put all these thoughts together, in the end we just get a better finished project.
Hmm. I have another question for you, from Mr. Turkey Master. Do you get to participate in areas that are outside of technical lighting art? This will be our last question, by the way, because we're already over time. And I said only 1 hour. Well, I didn't actually say how long this take, but I normally keep it to 1 hour. For example, design environments and assets. Is this a position restricted to a specific profession?
um this really depends on which company you go to. If it's a big company, by that I mean like 50 employees and plus, every department does their own stuff usually. You're a lighting artist, so you do your lighting stuff. You're technical lighting artist, you do your technical lighting stuff. But when you go to a smaller company, an indie studio or a small VFX boutique, right, they will ask you to do like some other stuff as well. Like for example,
You
in my
must
case,
sell your soul.
as if you go to the big companies, it's in the contract.
Yeah.
No, but like for example, for the EG2 stuff, because we were like 16 people. I was doing the lighting, I was doing the look def as well. For some stuff, for like the on the Unreal sequence, we were only 2 people, so I was helping to place stuff as well. I was doing some set dressing there. So it really depends. If you're more of a jack of all trades, go to a smaller studio, because those people, those studios don't have the money to hire 50 different people. So you're going to be able to do a lot of different stuff. Um, which is why I've been very lucky to be able to join the studio when I just started out, because we were very small and I was able to do a bunch of stuff. I do compositing, I do lighting, I do look def.
Hmm.
My primary is lighting, but I do a bit of everything. I don't do
Is that
modeling because I don't
is it
like it.
is
I'm think
everything, man?
Yeah, exactly. It's like
I
and I enjoy
I
doing
I
it.
don't. I avoid it at any cost, even if I could do it. I'm like,
Yeah,
don't
that's
want
just
to.
a personal thing, right? It's like everybody is. Some people like doing a bit of everything, and some people just like focusing on one thing. And that if you like
Well,
everything, you should go to a smaller studio.
the thing for me is my learning stamina is already drained because I spend a lot of my free time learning stuff on
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
things, and I don't want to keep. That's one of the reasons. One of the guy who messaged me, he feels like to be a lighting artist is consuming his time outside of work because he has to. I don't know. He didn't specify, but I know from myself and other people you do like more photography to learn more skills and the spare time you are maybe drawing and painting, which is also what I'm doing to learn color and understanding the traditional form of art.
Hmm.
And it consumes your time when you in theory you might want to do other stuff like just have a good time, learn martial arts, stuff that doesn't actually benefit you whatsoever
Yeah, yeah.
professionally or creatively, but as a person. And I can understand that people and this is the difficult part. I think it becomes a lifestyle for some people, especially early on. You have to keep up a lot. It might be competitive. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Um, yes, I'm a person that like well, just in general, we don't do overtime overwork, overtime at work. So but like
You do volunteer work.
um, no, like in all seriousness, like I never did overtime at work, and usually, like that's a thing. I can't do personal work at home anymore because of the work. So I'm already like when I'm at work, I'm 200% into my work, and when I'm outside, I just like going outside, go training or anything else, and that's actually great as well as a lighting artist, because seeing the world will help you replicate the world, right? So
I had overtime yesterday, by the way.
uh,
Mm.
I'm sorry.
But they don't force you. They ask you, "Do you want
Ah,
to?"
well, and if you say no, then you're
I
out.
haven't.
But
I
if you
haven't
say
tried
yes,
yet. I'll try that next time. No, I don't want to. Go away.
but yeah, I definitely think that uh, people should not only because I mean that's another conversation. That's just like your lifestyle. But I think if you get it depends what you want to achieve, right? But I think if you sink too much time into work and first just don't rest enough, the bags under your eyes will start showing.
I
And
want to see Nino happy. That's what I want.
yeah, exactly. You won't be able to laugh that much, and it's just and then when you're at work, you have a better time as well.
So you don't do personal work because you're not necessarily exhausted from the day job, but you kind of feel you're satisfied. You know that area of your interest is satisfied at work, and you come home and you do other stuff. And when you do your own work, because we were talking about feedback and review, um, this will be the last question to you, I think, as well. So
Hmm.
we can go on now with our day. But it's a very interesting conversation, so it just keeps dragging on. But this will be my last question to you, and then we'll do a private talk afterwards to close the topic.
Sure.
Um, so you're doing feedback and everything, and you said professionally we should take the feedback because we're working as a team and collaborative. But when you're working on a personal piece, how
Mhm.
much do you take the feedback and who do you take the feedback from, and when do you decide not to listen to feedback that might be good feedback?
That's a great segue, Amit. Did you ever hear of Lighting Bot community on Discord? There
No,
is a
what is it?
feedback channel where you can post your personal projects and you'll get feedback from a lot of people around the globe.
Really?
Yes.
Hmm.
Let me send you the link.
How do you get into it? I wonder. There's a link down bottom on this channel. Click it, join, get some free help, and then because the thing with the free help though, guys, is inconsistent. It's very in quality, and you can't expect people to give you feedback when you actually need it. For that reason, we have lighting mentorship. You can pay to get professional feedback and services on your schedule and on time. Thank you very much, and for that segue.
No worries. That free one.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, to be honest, when it comes to there's the lighting bot community. When I was working on my project, I posted it in there, and I got feedback from some people. But at the same time, because of that's another thing, right? If you communicate at work, your colleagues become your friends, right? And then you can spam them on the weekends with your personal projects as well.
Mm.
And you can, like, for example, with my leads, sometimes I ask him some feedback for my personal project. If he has time, he gives it to me. So that's always nice, you know, because I went to a school. I was, I made friends that are in the industry now as well. I can ask those as well. I don't usually go on forums because I'm not too much of a forum guy.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that's how I get my feedback. And then my roommates are 3D artists as well, so I just go like, hey, can you check this out and tell me what you think? But
And
that's
how do
usually how
they
I say.
respond normally though? Do they just tell you this is shit, this is good? How do they?
They
I've
start
noticed that there's
laughing and they leave the room.
it's a different level of communication skills depending on how close you are with people. Because
Yeah, right.
on Discord, and you're obviously trying very carefully to not, discourage someone. But if you're a very close friend and in a room, and you're like, no, shit, man, get away from me, just go away, don't show
By the
me
way,
that.
you still didn't finish the dishes.
Yeah,
So instead of
yeah,
working on your 3D,
yeah,
go
yeah,
clean the
yeah,
dishes.
yeah. You have time for that shit, but you didn't do the. Yeah, I wonder what happens with this video because I've been saying shit a lot for the first time. So I'm
Oh,
interesting to see what
I'm a bad
happens with the.
influence. I'm sorry.
No, no, I have to. I'm trying to experiment with it because I've been told that videos are also because there's a facial recognition. So when I have too much of the evil genius content, for example, which is why I interrupt a little bit and we take it down on purpose, is
Yeah, yeah.
because the last time I did Lion King with the Lion King lighting
Oh,
artist, the studio contacted me to the YouTube saying you're showing it, and you get the copyright infringement, but you can also get a higher level of copyright, and then you can get the one that closes your account.
yeah.
Um, and then I said, okay, there has to be a way for me to bypass this or figure out a way to do it. So, but then I also was told that if you say certain words, you also get flagged because they're not a
Oh,
person
wow.
checking this. There's just an AI voice, AI face, AI everything, and they just. And then if you try and explain yourself, you can't because everything is automated on YouTube. So if you screw up, you
Yeah,
screw
yeah.
up. So it should be interesting. But yeah, I mean, obviously we could keep talking for a while if we wanted to, but maybe another time. Maybe when
Yes.
Nino has another project or another personal project, and he can maybe save a proper long breakdowns, or maybe he wants to write an article at thelightingbot.com where we have some like artistic articles at a time on and off. So thank you very much, Nina, for showing up, and thank you so much for giving me your time, especially 12 minutes and 51, 52, 53 seconds extra. And yeah, I'll talk to you more. What we'll do, we'll say goodbye to everyone who watched and is going to watch. Thank you for your time and your engagement. And Turkey Master, special thank you for you and your questions. It is very much appreciated.
Thank
And
you
as
very much.
usual, please like and subscribe our content. It's algorithm. We can't do much without your actual clicks and likes and shares, comments. That's how YouTube shows support as well. And please watch all our other interviews. We're trying to reach 4,000 hours so we can become a YouTube community partner, and that requires people to watch 4,000 hours. So just keep a video up on replay. Just keep it going. Help us out a little bit. That would be lovely. So thank you so much. I'll talk to Nino in private a little bit, and then have a nice Sunday, everyone. Thank you